Okay, what's going on, everybody? My name is Mangg. Welcome back to Hanging with Mangg. We are playing the Division 2 today. And, you know, I really did not care for the Division 1. I believe, if I recall correctly, I actually got the Division 1 for free when I purchased a keyboard, which was kind of interesting. I'm pretty sure, yeah. It was a pretty good keyboard. Portable electronic device detected. But I just couldn't get into it. It just felt off. Enemies took too many shots to kill. It just wasn't realistic. It just didn't feel good. It just didn't feel good to play. So I have not followed the Division 2's development whatsoever. But early reviews and discussions were really positive. And specifically, people were saying that that whole bullet sponge issue was no longer an issue. And that the shooting felt really good. And so, you know, nowadays, with the YouTube money, I'm a lot more likely to purchase games that I maybe normally would be hesitant about, since it's pretty much my main hobby. So, you know, I purchased it. I've been playing it for a little bit.
What was that?
And it's pretty good. The shooting does feel really tight. Like some of the best third-person shooting in a long time. And I really like the setting compared to Division 1, where it was just like gray, snow, shit. It was like a Wisconsin winter. And it's like, okay, I get enough of that. This is a really beautiful setting. And it seems, I don't know if geared towards single player, but it doesn't seem like it pushes multiplayer on you that much. And, you know, so far I've just done everything solo and it's felt good, so we'll see, you know. But I was just thinking, like, just take this engine, you know, everything about it, and just make, like, a Fallout game. Even if it was, like, a spin-off Fallout title, whatever. You know, like Fallout Vengeance, or I don't, please don't make Fallout Vengeance, but, you know, some sort of just spin-off Fallout title, and just make it, like, a badass third-person shooter, you know, with loot and skills and shit like that in an open world, and I think that would be pretty good. Yeah. Speaking of YouTube money, it was like Tuesday, I think, which is just about the 2-week point where I had first contacted YouTube about not getting paid for the month of January. And I still really not heard anything from them. And I was like, this cannot be that serious of an issue for them.
Serious trauma detected.
Damn it. That was a really good grenade throw. This cannot be that serious of an issue that they cannot, like, it takes more than 2 weeks to solve it. I was like, they have just not looked into it. And so I'm like, I gotta... The person that I was emailing was completely useless and was just like, I haven't heard anything, so I'll let you know when I do. And it's like, that's bullshit. I know you can try harder than this. So I'm like, I'm going to start up a new chat session with somebody from creator support, you know, and you just get randomly assigned, I guess. And I'm going to see if someone else can really, you know, maybe accelerate this or something, you know. Just keep making noise. So I started up a new creator support chat, and I got the same person. I don't know if that's a coincidence or what, but that person did not remember that they were handling my case, as they called it. She was like, oh, no, let me look into your account. And she comes back and she's like, oh, it seems that I was the person that handled your case. It's like, yeah, I know. I'm aware of this. And so she's looking in my account. You know, like 5 minutes go by, or it might have been like 10 minutes go by or something like that. And then she comes back and she's like, oh yeah, so I'm the one that handled your account. And oh, also, I just got an update from the internal team. It's like, wow, what an odd coincidence of timing that right when I message you again, you get an update. Ridiculous. And so the update from the internal team was that my January earnings will be included with my February earnings, which will be in a few days. Which was good to hear. You know, I'm not certain if I believe it at this point. I gotta see it to believe it. And I was like, well, do they have an explanation for why that happened? And all the internal team apparently said was injection did not occur. Injection, I assume, is the numbers from YouTube coming over to AdSense, because YouTube doesn't pay you, AdSense pays you. So, but AdSense only pays you whatever YouTube says, so that's the injection. Injection did not occur because content owner was withheld. Now, I assume I'm the content owner. And so it's basically saying, this did not occur because it did not occur. I was like, okay, that doesn't mean anything. And I said, did this happen because of something with my demonetization for a day? And she's just like, I don't know. She said specifically, like, I cannot comment, can provide no further information or something. Like, I don't know. Okay, I don't know. So I'm like, all right, you know, if the earnings come through, I guess it's all good. And she's like, rest assured. She said, rest assured that it will happen. So I should rest assured. And like I said, it's not like it's not an emergency or anything. But I just didn't want it to get backed up like 6 months that they have to, you know, they have to do all that. I wanted it to get solved quickly. So I guess that's all good. It's all good news. So this week on the Exploring series, I put out SCP-3812, I believe, is what the number is. A voice behind me. And just looking at like the like ratio and things like that, I would say it turned out pretty well. But the comment section really did not seem that positive. Mostly because I feel I did not explain it properly. So I'm surprised with how many likes it actually got. It's just, I guess, maybe a vocal minority or something, but... yeah, I don't know. I really just don't want to talk about it. I'll just move on from that video. It exists. It's there. I put it together, but I'm not proud of it. I feel like I didn't properly explain it, which doesn't usually happen. But anyways, I also put out a video on the Eldar, which was far more positive in the comments section. Everyone seems to like that. I didn't really even find any nitpicks or anything. Like, there weren't any, like, big complaints about emissions or anything like that, so I was really surprised. I mean, I did spend a couple weeks on it, so maybe that's why. Generally, the more time I spend on a video, which is not necessarily like active work time. I'm not saying like if I spend 40 hours on a video. I'm saying if I work on a video over the course of a longer period of time. You know, there's just more, you know, the whole process. I find less mistakes occur. Whereas if I try and do it quickly, even if I put in the same amount of hours into putting the video together, if I just try and do it all in one day, there's more mistakes. I don't know why this is. I don't know if it's just like my brain needs to sort of process everything, and I have no idea. But videos that I've tried to put together in 1 day or 2 days tend to have more mistakes. Bundled up. I found their spawn point. Oh God. Holy shit. Anyways, hello, SCP Rumors. What was I talking about? Oh, right, the Eldar video. So that was good. I was happy with that. And this week I worked on a video on the Serpent's Hand, which people have been requesting for quite a while, so I'm sure they'll be happy. You know, whenever I work on a video that's like a big compilation of all sorts of different stuff and trying to compile it into a short summarization, I always feel bad about not including enough. And it's that line. It's that line you have to draw. Because you can't include everything. That's insane. So you have to draw the line somewhere and cut it off. And it's always just a question of, did I cut it off at the right point? I know people would prefer more than less. And then you get into a question of, you know, when you're cutting out that much, how do you decide exactly what to include? You know, how do you decide what cuts the mustard? And, you know, that's my job, so it is what it is, but that's the challenge. I would say this one errs on the side of too little. And I'll admit that part of that might be to me not caring that much about the Serpent's Hand. Which really should not be an excuse, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm not proud of it, but I'm rarely proud of a video, so we'll see. I'm also, there's not going to be a Warhammer video next week because I'm spending time working on a special video. That may or may not relate to the first of the month. We'll see. Well, I mean, that's really not a big secret at this point.
Is unloading on civilians outside the medical camp.
Get over there and give them support, Agent.
You know, the April Fools is just always going to happen. And it might be my longest April Fool's video. I did quite a bit of writing so far, and I feel like I've only barely got it started. Whoa! I don't even know how I died there. Yeah, I'm not going to comment anymore on the April Fool's video. It's happening. It's going to be maybe a little bit different. Wow. Oh, he's level 19. That's why. And he's on like a machine gun. Okay. I would say it's sort of going to be a combination of the last two April Fool's videos. Like, in a way, it's sort of serious and legitimate. And then, in a way, it's also just kind of just taking the piss, I suppose. So it's a bit of a combo, and we're trying out different things. That's what it's all about, being on YouTube. And then this week, I think I'm going to be working on a video on SCP-106. The Old Man. Which is one of those old school videos where it itself is not super complicated. But I get to talk about some tales. So, we're definitely going to be talking about the Young Man tale. Until Death, I don't really care for, but I'm going to have to mention. So, I'm sure that'll be a fine video. I don't have too many concerns about that. Over on this channel, we had some more. Okay, I'm way out of way out of where I need to be. We had some more Final Fantasy 13. There is, I believe, just one more video. I think tonight I'll upload the final video for that. Which is cool. We also had Devil May Cry 5. I'm pretty sure I'm going to follow through on that one until the end. But this Friday, we're starting a new game. A little game from Software. Now, I've been calling it Sekiro. But I was watching a video from Lobos Jr. and he pronounced it Sekiro. And considering he went to Japan to like play the demo at From Software, I'm pretty sure he knows how it's pronounced. So I think it's Sekiro. So that's coming out Friday. I'll be playing it on PC in glorious high def 144 hertz, all that good shit. So we'll just sort of see how it all lines up. I am not going right from Final Fantasy 13 to 15. There is going to be a different LP thrown in the mix. And that is going to be a co-op. What? A Mangg Bang Crew LP. It's been a long time since we've done that. Of Diablo 2 Median XL. So, some of you may remember many moons ago, me, Ziggy, Mert, and my brother did a co-op LP of Diablo 2. And it was quite a bit of fun. That might have been like the last co-op LP I've done. But I'm a much bigger fan at this point of Median XL than vanilla Diablo 2. And just a couple months ago, Median XL went through like a huge new revision. Like, the version number is 1.0. So they, like, started from scratch. They didn't start from scratch. There's still a lot of concepts familiar to that, you know, it's still just Median XL. But they redid, like, the whole thing with a new engine. And so now they can do all sorts of different things with the interface and abilities, and just, it's definitely seems like the best version of Median XL so far. It's also the easiest version of Median XL, which is not to say that it doesn't have its difficult moments, but it's the most welcoming version, I think. Like, they really streamlined the challenges and things like that. Because I mean, there used to be, like, a challenge that you had to complete at, like, level 1 or something like that. Like, you had to complete it almost immediately. And if you didn't, you just missed out on it. And it's like, you know, you can't expect a new person because they didn't explain all this really. It was all just in the documentation. It's like you can't expect people to just. I think they got rid of that one a while ago, but there's a lot of that sort of streamlining going on now. Like the first level challenge used to be sort of really hidden and complicated, and it's like you would never really do this if you just fired up the mod randomly and just started playing. It would never happen, really. And so now it's a lot more simple. Like, you get, as soon as you, right before you kill Bale in normal difficulty, a portal opens up in front of you that takes you to the level challenge. And it's a lot easier and more self-explanatory. And it's like, most people are going to be able to do it successfully now. So, there's still really difficult Uber levels and crap like that, but they sort of ease you into it now. It's a lot better. Will I do any more audiobook stuff? Yes. So, my buddy Ziggy wrote a Cthulhu Mythos novel. Or novella, I guess. I don't know the official term. And I did the audiobook for that. So when that comes out, I don't think I'll make a video about it, but I'll post it on my Twitter and Discord and stuff. And then I think for 300,000, for when I hit 300,000 subs, I'm going to be putting out another Lovecraft audiobook. Because I enjoyed doing the festival. So maybe I'll just do one of those every 100,000 subs. What was I talking about? Median XL. Right. So, I started playing the new version just like last week, and I was like, this is really good. This is really cool. It seems really welcoming now. This would be a good time to introduce some other people to the mod. And I was like, why don't we do a co-op LP? So I asked, the crew. They were interested, and for the first episode, we did not get Mert involved. He was busy or something, and it doesn't seem like we're going to get him for the second episode either, so it might just be the three of us, but still, for those that have never played Median XL, it should be a pretty welcoming intro. Since I'm familiar with most of the concepts, but they're new to it, so I get to explain it all. That's right, eat shit. Oh, no, you didn't.
Stay right there.
So, yeah, I think we're going to record the second episode, like, right after I'm done with this. The problem with doing a co-op LP is I can't just record it anytime I'm free, which is often. So, for a normal LP, I always have a video available. For a co-op LP, there might be a time when I need to upload it, but I can't. So it's not really a big problem because I can always just upload something else. But so far we're having fun, and I think it should be pretty good. Oh boy, what else? What else? What else? What else? Well, I guess we'll just talk about role manging. So, the DCC campaign has certainly taken a fairly dark turn. I think there's no denying that. And my actions in this campaign are probably not really representative of Artemis. So we're going to say that he's just been corrupted by, like, the witch's potion and stuff like that. And the inherent chaos nature of magic or something. I don't know. Whatever the case. We don't really need to justify it too much. And I certainly like playing heroic characters. I certainly enjoy playing good characters. I mean, most of the time that's sort of what I do. But we just came off a campaign where I was really playing, like, the goodest of characters. A really noble character. And so I could have just done that again, but I felt free enough to just spread my wings. So I'm not restricting anything based on morality or alignment. And so we are in this town of Cohagen. Oh, right. We hadn't arrived yet. We were just arriving at the start. Okay, so we first had to cross this rickety bridge, in which if your character had less than a certain amount of agility, you had to roll in order to safely cross. And so, of course, Artemis was like the second person to go across. He rolled a 1 or something. He just completely slipped off and went straight down into the ravine. And I'm still, like, weakened from Spellburn because we had to kill those bandits. So my strength and agility are just garbage.
I doubt there's a lot of asthmatics around anymore. Wait, I got an idea. Call G over here. What for?
Would you say YouTube is a sustainable career path? Well, I have no idea. It's only been my career for a few years, so I really have no idea. You know, if you want me to speculate on, is it a safe job for the next 20 years or something like that? Probably not. But, you know, for now, it's a very enjoyable job that's not that difficult, and I make quite a bit of money. So it's not like I'm going to stop doing YouTube because I don't think it's sustainable for the next couple decades. And yeah, you should always have, you know, contingency plans in mind. And, you know, you should be conservative with your spending and all that sort of, you know, basic financial sense in case of any issues. But, you know, it is my career. And so I'm gonna stick with it for as long as I can. That's all I can really say. Anyways, so the bridge, yeah, so I fell into the ravine. I think one of Phil's characters dived in to save me, and that was really, there was no issue. We got the horses across, we got the wagon across, done deal. But we had been talking, like, in chat over the last week, about how we could just put the entire town to sleep and then just rob them. And it's like, wow, it's so easy and we could get so much money. And Ziggy was aware of this plan. And so he
The theater needs new batteries for its communications equipment.
decided to put a wrench in the engine of our plan by making this town a complete shithole. Like, they had their Jarl, their leader, had abandoned them and had, like, robbed most of the town himself and taken a bunch of his men and followers and gone into the woods because he declared that he's now the Jarl of the forest or something like that. So he went insane, he robbed the town himself, and now it's just in, like, it's not in ruins, but it's in really bad shape. So this was Ziggy's way of putting a wrench in the plans, and he figured we would just be like, you know, it's... the town is in such rough shape, but we could really fix things for them if we just went after this Jarl. You know, and we could take care of him and get all the treasure and just be the good guys. And much of our actions so far in this campaign really just stem from fear.
Agent, we've had recent reports of hyenas looting the Odia office. There might still be batteries in there. Find a way inside and take a look.
Like, so far, the world has just proven to be really scary.
The entrance to the office looks boarded up.
Take a look around, Agent. There might be another way inside.
You know, we just went on a nice trip from one town to another, and we almost lost 2 men. We did lose 1 man, from a single arrow, no less. And there's bandits and monsters and horrible stuff out there that can easily kill us. It's terrifying. And so it's like, why would we... we're in no shape to go after a Jarl and all of his thanes. You know, we're not... this ain't Skyrim. So it's like, no way are we going after this Jarl in the forest. That's ridiculous. But we knew that we couldn't rob this town. This town has nothing. There is nothing to rob. So our options were either... are you going to introduce any Adobe Premiere or After Effects stuff in your vids like Volgan does? I could, but I'd have to learn all of that stuff completely from scratch. You know, the Volgan is like a designer. Like, he's definitely got some background in computer design and stuff. I know nothing about that. So I'd have to learn it from scratch, and it probably would not be very good. So I don't think that would help my videos. I could hire somebody else to do it, but really I don't know if it's necessary. My goal has always been to distribute information as cleanly as possible. You know, with no distractions or anything like that. So I don't know if it's really to my benefit to mess around with that stuff. Anyways, so our 3 options were either go after the Jarl, which would be very dangerous. Move on to the next town, which, you know, not every town would be ravaged and poor and shit. So there could be some chances. Or the third option, the long-term plan, is to fix up this town and make it great again. And like 10 years from now, after it's all productive and wealthy, then we put it to sleep and rob them all. You know, the long con. We kind of like that plan, because really it involved the least amount of danger. And so we decided that this town does not have a wall, which in this world is just unacceptable. You cannot exist without a wall. Alright, let's do it. So if we want to fix up this town, priority 1 is building a wall. And we then learn that the Jarl has been launching raids on the town in order to rob them of anything else that they have. And he also apparently took all the women of the town with him. So this town's in rough shape.
That civilian. That's Vikram Malik, the CTO of Odia. The hyenas must be putting him to work. Get him out of there.
And so because the Jarl is launching all these raids continually on the town, they need a wall as soon as possible. And so we went to the current leader, which is one of the Thanes that stayed behind. And he's basically at wit's end. You know, he doesn't know what to do. He does not have hope for this town. And he's just sort of ready to call it quits. And so we ask him, you know, if we can start logging in the nearby forest. And if we could build a wall. And he's like, you know, sure. He's happy that someone's here to try and help. And we went to the inn, which is in like the center of town. And we went there just to like get food and to get some rooms and stuff. And we're talking with this innkeeper about the price of the rooms and stuff. And I'm just like, you know, what if we just buy the inn? This is when we started talking about, like, taking over the town. It's like, you know, if we own most of the property in this town, that's a pretty good start. This town is like a burnt-out wreck. Like, literally, many buildings in town had been burned. Real estate is never going to be cheaper in this town than right now. And, you know, if we start fixing the town up and build a wall and then try and purchase things, prices are going to go up. So really, we should be buying stuff now if this is our plan. And so we talked to the innkeeper, and we're like, you know, what's your fair price for this inn? And he said like 250 or something like that.
The hyenas have been keeping me here to repair their gear.
And I'm like,
If you were hoping to find anything useful here, you're out of luck.
I mean, all things considered, for an entire building, a 2-story inn or something like that, it's a really good price. Considering in DCC, like a 10-foot length of chain is 50 gold or something like that. It's a pretty damn good price. But it wasn't good enough. Because literally, if we did not fix up this town, and we just let things be and we moved on, this inn would be a pile of ash within a month's time. Like, no one is going to be settling in this town. The bandits are going to keep raiding it until everything's gone and dead and just looted, and it's just nothing. It's going to fall apart. Meaning this guy, this innkeeper, should be grateful for any amount of coin that we're willing to give him. We are making a huge... We're taking a huge risk in purchasing this inn. So, I used Charm Person on him, of course, and it worked. So he turned into my devout friend, my devoted friend, and I'm just like, you can do better than that for a friend. And, you know, I made the argument that, you know, it's... He could either have some gold in his pocket or 0 gold in his pocket and a defunct inn. So he brought it down to 100. And I was planning on negotiating even more. But the others were like, that's a really good price. And I'm like, alright, fine, for a friend. So we bought an entire inn for 100 gold, which is pretty damn good. I can't be too upset about that. Even though it is in a shit town and we have to do a lot of work, it's a pretty good start. Now, we also needed someone to run the inn. So I asked him, my friend, if he could stick around for a couple weeks, you know, during the transition period, and keep running things for a little while. Because he was planning to run off with his 100 gold and live somewhere else. But I'm like, you know, if you could just stick around. So he's willing to do that. So I wanted to take a survey of the entire town, find out how many abandoned buildings there are, which was quite a few, how many of them are burned and need to be rebuilt, and so on and so forth. And so that was part of the reason we went to talk to the Thane, was to determine who owns these abandoned properties, and who can we purchase them from. And so I would have assumed that they were owned by the king, because that's how I thought it worked in the olden days. Was all the property really belonged to the king, and people were just, like, renting it. But according to Ziggy, for this, the property was owned by the Thane. And since this, owned by the Jarl, and since this Thane was stepping up as technically the new Jarl, it technically belonged to him. He, of course, was willing to sell this property at dirt cheap prices, and he was shocked that anyone would actually pay for them. Because, like I said, this guy's pretty much planning to skip town at some point soon. And he hasn't even done, like, a survey of the town. He has no idea how many abandoned properties there are. So I'm like, okay, well, one of my men is working on that. So we'll get back to you. Now, we could easily just kill this guy. And basically just own the entire town.
Detected from the control point in proximity.
I mean, we at this point, even though we are very weak in the general scope of things, we are more powerful than these peasants. So, might makes right and all that good stuff. So if we wanted to take over the town just by power, we could do that. But, you know, we want to play along. We're not totally just evil assholes. And so I'm like, okay, so we've got a guy taking a survey of the town. But I also need a guy to... I need some people to start the logging process, because we have to build this wall. It's going to require a massive amount of effort. Basically, we're going to hire every single person in town. We're going to pay them probably below fair wages, but still something. Better than what they're getting right now. And we're going to try to put this wall together as fast as humanly possible.
Detected. Portable device detected.
But there are issues. And really the main issue here is the Jarl. The insane Jarl that's launching raids. If the Jarl learns that we have newcomers in town that are buying up stuff and they're wealthy and they're planning to build a wall and fix things, he's just going to launch this one big raid to eliminate us and just gut this town completely. So, and we learned that the Jarl apparently has, like, spies in town. And right after we bought the inn, we walked outside and there was, like, some guy, like, flipping a coin and, like, talking to us. And Mert just blurts out to this guy that, oh, we just bought the inn. And I'm like, you motherfucker. Like, these people just have no sense. And I can't control what comes out of their mouths. See what I have to deal with? So, I don't know if that guy's a spy or not. We probably should have just killed him to make sure, but we do have a shortage of healthy working hands, so, you know, you don't want to just butcher everyone you suspect as a spy. But the point became clear that we need to deal with the Jarl. We need to deal with the Jarl. Depending on my character, this would happen in a few different ways. You know, if I was playing as Ovum, I would just charge in there, and confront him to a one-on-one duel. Which he may or may not win. You know, you just assume you're going to win. If I was playing as Frederick Zoller, he would waltz in there and try and negotiate or bluff or do something to the entire process, which, when you're dealing with an insane character, it's a little bit riskier. But since I'm playing as Artemis, who's very freewheeling with his magic, and magic is very powerful, we're looking towards magic. Now, specifically, we're looking at sleep. Charm can be good, but for it to really work easily, I'd have to get the max charm effect where I have complete and utter control over all of them, and I can just force them all to commit suicide. Which, you know, really I'm looking towards getting the max sleep effect anyways, so it's sort of a horse apiece, I suppose. But we're going with sleep. Although it really doesn't matter. It's a moot discussion until we actually do it. Because either way, it's the same thing. But basically, we need to cast a spell that deals with all of them in a single action. Because any one of these guys could just butcher us, as far as I'm concerned. Holy shit. That is a fucking sniper rifle. Nice. And, where was I? Right, so basically the plan would be to just walk in, or sneak in, or what have you, put them all to sleep, and then we have Dobbin come in and just stab them all in the throat one by one until they're all dead. Which is pretty simple. The thing is, to achieve that effect, which is pretty much the highest roll possible, like a 32, to achieve that effect, I need to spell burn a lot. Like, the minimum that I could get away with spell burning would be 10 points. That's actually 9 points, I suppose, if I crit. If I crit, I would only need 9 points. And even 9 points is quite a bit of spell burning. But that's if I crit. And you can't guarantee a crit unless you can guarantee a crit. And fortunately, in DCC, as a wizard, you can guarantee a crit. To guarantee a crit on a spell, you have to spell burn 20 points of attributes. Which is an insane amount. 20 points of attributes, you know, across strength, agility, and stamina. That is a big deal, because that takes 20 days to recuperate. God, the no scopes. No scope. There we go. God, reloading takes so long with this gun. There we go. God. Yep. That was... Do not rush in with a sniper rifle. Let me just finish talking here, because we're over an hour. So yeah, it takes 20 days to recuperate from a 20-point spell burn, but you can guarantee basically the highest level effect on a spell, which is really good. This is not something you would really do in a dungeon scenario, unless it was the final boss and you knew there was nothing else. But in the outside world, where time is a little bit more flexible, it can be pretty useful. It can be pretty devastating. And so, but the problem is, I'm already still sort of weakened from spell burn. You know? And so I'm still sort of recovering, and so the plan has just been for me to just rest and wait and wait and wait, but Ziggy is complicating things by continually having these raids occur. And so there's a time limit, because eventually there's going to get a point to where there are no people left in this town. There's nothing to save in the town if we just let things continue. So he's complicating things, no doubt about it. And eventually we went to the Thane, and he informs us that he is leaving. He is leaving town. He's taking all of his, like, soldiers, you know, his spearmen or whatever. They're going with him, and anyone else in town that wants to go with him, they can come with. Which is going to be most of the town, because why would you stay at that point? And so we were saying, like, if this guy leaves, if this Thane and his spearmen leave, taking people with him, this whole plan is done. And we might as well just go with him and go to the next town. And we have already invested in this town and this plan, and we bought the inn and things like that. And it's just... we've invested too much for it to fail now. You found me by searching Hacknet. That's really shocking. That's an old Let's Play, and I'm like, what page was that on? 30? So we cannot let this guy leave. And we tried convincing him. He wasn't really going for it, because this town is crap. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to cast Charm Person on him. So I did. But I failed, because I didn't want to spellburn anything, because if I spellburn any points at this time, it delays our plan of taking out the Jarl. And we don't want that, because there's just going to be more raids. Page 1. Wow, that's shocking. That's really shocking. So the Charm Person failed. And obviously, you know, there was some, like, effect to it, some visual effect. So he realizes that we're trying to sorcerize him. So I'm like, okay, we are going to be butchered. There's only 3 of us. There's like 8 of them. They are armed warriors. We are dead. So, like, if we want to survive past this moment, I have to spellburn. So, I used sleep. I used some spellburn. It worked. I put them all to sleep. I rolled well enough. It all worked out. We killed all of the pikemen. And then we tied up the Thane. Because we want him to stay alive so he can sort of lead the town and assure the people that things are still going as planned. And Ziggy informs us that if we do this, our alignment will become chaos. which is just like, you know, we just we have to. I mean, maybe someday we'll be able to work back up and become good guys again, but for now, this is for the greater good. But we didn't want to bloody our hands, of course. That's what Dobbin is for, which is one of Phil's level 0 characters who we use as our executioner. But Phil's main character is a cleric who would object to this. And in fact, if he did this and became Chaos Alignment, he would lose access to his deity. So he had to object to this, just from a character standpoint. And so we had to, like, tie him up as well. We didn't kill him, but we had to tie him up so that he could at least keep his faith. And Dobbin killed all the spearmen. We dumped their bodies in the river or something like that. And after the Thane woke up from the sleep, I cast Charm Person on him. And it doesn't wipe his memory. But all he knows is that I tried to sorcerize him. And then he fell asleep. So he doesn't exactly know what happened. And he asked about his men, and I said, oh, they left. They left town. And I'm like, look, we can save this town. We can deal with the Jarl. We can build the wall. We can make this town, you know, what it was. But we need your help. And remember, he is charmed, so he does think of me as a friend. So he agrees. He's going to stick around and try and keep things together, but you know, we've got to deal with the Jarl. Problem is, my stats are garbage. And I need to rest. Like, I recover 1 point per day. So I think I need at least 11 days to get the minimum possible to do a 20-point spell burn. And Ziggy informed me that if I spell burn, he's house ruling this now because he's trying to curb this behavior. If I spell burn below 3 points of an attribute, there's going to be a permanent effect. There's going to be a permanent debility, which is pretty serious. But if it comes down to either the plan completely failing and us dying, or me taking a permanent debility, I know what I'm going to pick. Ideally, we can come up with a way to sort of stave off these attacks by the Jarl for just a couple weeks, so that I can rest up and do a proper spell burn and kill them all that way. I just have to try and think of a way to make the Jarl not attack. I'm thinking of maybe bringing every single person in the town into the Great Hall and just defending from there for a couple weeks. The only concern then is that the Jarl will just burn everything to the ground. So there are issues, no doubt. There are issues when you're trying to fight the DM as much as this. And he just wants you to be heroes. But it's so dangerous. I can't imagine us... Especially if I never spell burn. Oh, gosh. Like, the butchering that would occur. Because there's 3 of us. I mean, Mert is, like, almost never there for any combat. Even with him, like, 1 arrow can put down a character at this point. It's just crazy. The new Hacknet DLC, I mean, I thought that came out a couple of years ago or something like that. I have not played it, though. So, you know, we have another campaign here where I feel overpowered in a way. I think I feel less overpowered than, say, Stars Without Number or Godbound, because there's certainly limits to my power. But all of our plans basically involve my abilities. And so, not that I'm like, and again, it's sort of like, okay, well, we're coming up with plans because of my abilities. You know, if I was a thief, would we be coming up with all this thief stuff? I don't think so. I think it's just the fact that like, huge, big spell effects are so powerful that it's just, of course, we're going to be thinking about that. I don't know. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. I think after DCC, we're going to be going to Call of Cthulhu, where it's impossible to be overpowered, so that'll be pretty different. But I'm enjoying this stuff so far. Alrighty, so check out the Serpent's Hand video tomorrow. We got some Final Fantasy 13 ending tonight. The Diablo 2 co-op LP coming this week, and Devil May Cry 5, and of course Friday is Sekiro, which should be pretty sweet. My name is Mangg. This has been Hanging with Mangg. I'll see you fine folks next week.